In today's tutorial, you will learn how to use Unreal Engine's Composure framework with pre-keyed footage. Composure allows for real-time compositing similar to softwares like After Effects. While Composure itself has a built-in Chroma Key, many workflows still make use of pre-keyed footage. By the end of this video, you will be able to achieve the following results. Set up a composition in Composure. Create a compositing material that blends the foreground and background. Create a Chroma Key material for your pre-keyed footage since Composure doesn't read alpha channels by default. And finally, basic color grading for your comp. In order to achieve the results I'm about to show you, you should already have your footage keyed and exported as a PNG sequence with an alpha channel. Okay, so here you choose your scene of choice, and the first thing we have to do is enable the Composure plugin. Composure is the framework we'll be using today to composite our scene together. So go here to Edit, and then go to Plugins, and then you're going to type Composure. Oops. Mine is already ticked, so if you haven't yet, just click on it, and then you have to restart your engine. So what is the first thing we need to do? First thing we need to do is to import our image sequence, okay? So what I'm gonna do is create a new folder under Content, and I'll call it Compositing. And then here I will right click, go to Media, Image, Media Source, because I exported my PNG that I keyed out in Davinci. I export it with an alpha channel, and I export it as a PNG, so you have to select image media source to select your PNG sequence. You can name it whatever you want. Let me dock it here. And now you need to tell Unreal the sequence path of your PNG sequence, because you're not importing the sequence directly into the engine. You're just giving Unreal a directory, and if you happen to change the file location of that PNG sequence, Unreal will not be able to find the sequence. So be careful with that. Make sure you keep that sequence until in the same directory until your project is finished. So let's go ahead and go to desktop. I have my PNG sequence here. Choose the first picture only and choose open. Now what you gotta do is let's see if we have advanced settings here. For here nothing, click save. Okay, you can close this window. Now back to your content drawer or content folder. You have your new image media source here. You're going to right click again, go to media again, and now you will choose media player and choose video output media texture asset. Click OK. Name it whatever you want. I'm just gonna leave it like this, and I will just dock it here for convenience. Now this media player will play your image media source. If you go down here, okay, you can see a list of all the media sources that you have. Since we only created one, we're just going to double click on this one. Okay, and now you can see that my pre-keyed footage is inside Unreal and it has an alpha channel. So I'm just going to select it looping here so that it loops, and then I'm going to save. Make sure that you need to keep this window open, okay? If you want to do with if you want to operate in Composure with this. The media, if you close the media player, it will stop playing the media. Okay, so now we have set up our media to play inside Composure. So the next step is setting up Composure. Now we'll start operating Composure. So if you go to Window here, Virtual Production, Composure Compositing, a new window will open here, okay? You can dock this window here so that it becomes more convenient to tweak. So you have Composure Compositing, but this window is empty, Okay, so you have the original outliner that's every time whatever project you open, you have an outliner open, and now you have Composure Compositing. Once again, Window, Virtual Production, Composure Compositing. If you do not enable the plugin, you will not see it here. So now we're going to create a comp, okay, just like you do in other compositing softwares like After Effects. You will create a comp. So you will right click, create a new comp, and you can create an empty comp shot, okay? And you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it tutorial. Okay, nothing is happening yet. If you click on this comp, you'll see that it is empty. That's because there's nothing inside your comp. You need to add layer elements to it. So how do you do that? You click on this comp called tutorial, you right click on it, and you add a layer element. Now let me explain how this works. In Composure, you have three kinds of layer elements. You have your media plate. Media plate is your foreground, okay? It's whatever your footage is. In my case, it is the footage I previously exported from Davinci, pre-keyed into Unreal. CG layer is just your Unreal Engine background. Okay, CG layer is just your Unreal Engine background. Whatever scene you're using, that's your CG layer. CG matte, we're not gonna talk about this today. This is something that creates cutout matte for a project. If you don't know what that is, it doesn't really matter for our purposes today. We're only going to composite a talent on top of a background. So the first thing I will do is choose media plate. But where's my media plate? It doesn't show, but you can see that you have an expansion arrow here. And now in this expansion arrow, you can see that you have a media plate, but it is black. It is dark. There's nothing. And if you click on your comp, it says it's empty because nothing has been composited yet. Now you have a foreground, though it's still black and nothing shows. You indeed have a foreground. You need what I just told you, a CG element, which is a CG background. So you click on tutorial, which is my comp, right click it, add layer element, and this time you choose a CG layer. Okay, so if you choose on my media plate, it is completely dark. It is completely black. That's because you haven't set it up yet, okay? You haven't told the media plate to use the footage, green screen footage that I have. But if you click on CG element, you can see that a window here is showing your scene. And why is it showing? Because the CG element will always be your 3D scene, okay? So it will always show because it's already there. And as you can see here, it adds a camera, which is not really a camera. It's just something that it gets added whenever you create a CG element, okay? This is not gonna be your camera. You see, if you move it, nothing happens. Because it's just a camera that gets added that's rendering your 3D background, which is your scene. So what we need to do now is set up our own camera, okay? Let me see, this project comes with lots of cameras, but I don't like any of them. I'll just set up my own. So you can go to the plus box here and go to Cinematic, Cine Camera Actor. I'll put a camera in the scene. Okay. I have a camera here. I will probably rename it to tutorial so I can find it better. Okay, I have a camera and I will pilot it to place it where I want it to be. Okay, let me change the speed a little bit. I want this camera to be here. Okay, and also obviously you can change your camera settings, but for today's tutorial purposes, I will not do that. So I'm piloting the camera. I will just unpilot it. So I have a camera in the scene and I'm in the outliner window. Let's go back to Composure window. Click on my comp. I need to tell the comp what camera I want to use for this compositing. So I will just go to input down here and target camera actor. There are lots of cameras, but I named mine correctly, which is called tutorial. So now my camera is going to be used as you can see here, it says the name of my camera is going to be used for the compositing of this scene. Nothing is happening yet. Now let's move over to the media plate. It is empty here. And also, if you click on media plate, you will see that it has inputs. And now I need to tell what media source I want to use for the talent, for the footage on top of my compositing, okay? And this will be the media texture that was, let me just save it really quick. Don't forget to save the new media player media texture that we made previously. You select that and you click here. See, you can see that the media plate now contains the keyed out footage that I imported into Unreal, but there is a problem here. Let's see if we have an alpha channel. We don't have an alpha channel, but the footage I imported clearly has an alpha channel. That's because in Composure, the alpha channel doesn't get displayed correctly unless you create a material that tells it to do so. We're going to do that very soon. And now CG element is okay. We don't have to do anything here so far. And one quick tip that a lot of people ask me, and I want to explain how it works, is that these windows that show here are not cameras. A lot of people think, because many people who have never used Composure, when you use your camera, we all know that we have a tutorial camera here. Every time you click on a camera, a window will pop up here and you can pin it. Okay. However, when you click on a comp or a media plate and a CG element, similarly, a window will pop up here and you can pin it just like the camera, but this is not a camera window. Okay. This is just your comp window, your media plate window, and your CG element. This is just for preview purposes. A lot of people get confused because they imagine this is their camera. It is not. Okay, if I, for example, I choose my CG element and I pin it here, and I go back to the outliner and I choose my tutorial camera and I also pin it here, you will see that they look the same, but this is a camera as it says here. This is not a camera. This is just my CG layer element. Okay, let's just make that clear. Now what we need to do is create a material that combines my media plate and my CG element. Okay, so if you go here on tutorial, you'll see that it is empty. Okay, we're going to have to create a material to blend these passes together, the foreground and the background. So if you click on your comp, you will see that there is a menu called Transform Compositing Passes. Be careful, because under media plate, you also have Transform Compositing Passes. And let me see, for the 3D CG element, which is a 3D background, you also have a Transform Compositing Pass. I'll explain what that does later, but let's go back to tutorial. You need to create a master Transform Compositing Pass to blend those together. What do we have here? Transform passes, we have nothing. We're going to have to expand it and create one. So we'll need a material here under compositing elements. You need a material that blends them together. We have none yet. Let's create a material. Okay, I will just place it in my compositing scene and I will just name it compositing. For naming conventions, material, compositing material. Okay, so you have a compositing material that you just made. Let's just save again. Always remember to save. Open it up, and now you can see your material here. First thing you gotta do is change it from not here, default lit to not here. Okay, material domain post process. You need to make this a post process material. Now let's create two nodes. Texture parameter 2D. Okay, you have a texture parameter 2D. Let's duplicate it. Control D. We will need two texture parameter 2Ds. Why? Because one is a foreground and the other one is a CG layer. Let's rename it so we don't get confused. Let's call it media plate. Which is the talent footage, and let's call it CG layer, which is the background. Now we need a node to we need a node to merge them together, and that is the over node. Okay, so here we have an over node. What we need to do now is you have a talent in the on the top, and you have a CG layer in the bottom. So you're gonna take the RGBA and plug it into the B of the over node, and now you're going to take the RGBA of the media plate and plug it into the A pin of the over node. And then we're going to take the resulting RGBA and plug it into emissive color. Apply, save. Back to your tutorial comp, you will see that the tutorial comp, the window shows like this. And that is because, let me say here, input elements have to be defined. What are input elements? As you can see, under the tutorial comp, you have a media plate 1, CG element 1. The naming convention, the naming that you chose here has to match the naming of your texture parameter 2D. They don't match. It says media plate, but in mine it says media plate underscore plate 1. The CG element seems that matches, but it doesn't. Here we have CG underscore element 1, but in the material we just have CG layer. So we need to tell the comp what is what, okay? So here, input elements, you need to tell the media plate is media plate 1. And the CG layer is the CG layer in which is these are the names inside the material, texture parameter 2D node. We need to tell this menu here that this is a CG element that we have. And voila. But we still don't have an alpha channel. If you click here, you don't see an alpha channel. You see a completely washed out alpha, but it's not displaying correctly. That's normal when you're dealing with Composure. So what we will do now is tweak the material inside the media plate so that it displays the alpha channel correctly. So far, we only we merged the background with the foreground, and by creating a transform pass, by creating a material here. Now we need to tweak the media plate material so that it shows the alpha channel. Let's do that. So now we need to create that material that outputs the alpha from the image PNG sequence that we have. So you click on media plate, expand the input. We already selected our input, which is the media texture that we made in the beginning. It's here, no changes so far. Down here, transform compositing passes, you will expand it. You can see that you have transform passes already here. Okay, you have a chroma keying pass, and what we're going to do is create a material that changes the way the alpha channel is output. Right here, you have a material single pass chroma key. You will expand it here. Create a new material. I already created mine for testing purposes beforehand, but I will just make it from scratch. Call this pre-pass, let's say, pre-pass, and save it, okay? And now the material slot is here, but it's still empty. So what you need to do is open this material. Here, you select in material domain, you select post-process, okay? And now you right click and you choose another texture sample parameter 2D. And I will just call this pre-pass alpha, or you can choose whatever you want, okay? Back to this pre-pass column here, it will go on to on the left side, it will type output because you need another pin, output alpha. You expose another pin. Now take the RGBA from the texture sample parameter 2D and plug it into the emissive color. Take the alpha and plug it into opacity, and now apply and save. Okay, so now our Chroma Key material has been replaced with our pre-pass material. Now what we need to do is go up here where we previously set up our texture input, and you will replace it from the original media texture compositing input to texture input. And now the texture input is empty again. You go back to content drawer and you select your media texture, the same we made in the beginning, and you click it. Okay, now it seems that it's working. It's still under media plate, but if you go back to the comp, you can see that the compositing has been done. Obviously, there are many things we can fix here. There are many problems with King, but today's this tutorial's purpose is just to show you how to import pre-keyed footage, because I get lots of questions telling me that when they export a keyed out footage from Davinci, it doesn't display, the alpha channel doesn't display correctly inside Composure. That's because under media plate, under transform compositing passes, it has originally had a material. It would change that material with our pre-pass material, and that's how our compositing is done. Now what you can do with this compositing is go back to the outliner, and you can select your camera and pilot your camera, because remember, the Composure compositing, if you go back to Composure and click tutorial, is just going to set a background and a foreground. So when I move my camera, the talent in the foreground remains static. It doesn't move. All I'm moving is the background, so I can place the background where it feels more natural. Here, for example. Okay, if I do it like this, it definitely obviously doesn't look natural. You have to, it's better that you take into account the distance, the height, and everything of your scene to make sure that your character displays correctly. And now we can do a little bit of color grading. So how do you color grade that? Because as you can see, my camera looks very different from my comp. Okay, here I have my comp selected. Okay, completely different. Colors are very different. It doesn't look the same. That's because Composure uses a different color space and color pipeline than the viewport. So for basic color grading, what you can do is you can see where the problem lies. Okay, I think my background, though it actually fits better here with this color warmth and everything, but if I wanted to change the colors of my background, I can add tone map pass. Okay, CG element, you have transform compositing passes. You can add here under transform pass new array element, expand it. Under array element, you can choose tone map pass. When you do that, you will have color grading menus. You can change everything you want. Okay, we have a global here. For me, I believe that maybe the shadows or highlights, you also have film stock settings. I believe that the slope needs a little work. See, if I pull the slope down, the toe, these are things you can play around, but you need to be mindful that this is only affecting the CG element. If you go on tutorial, the foreground remains unchanged, that's because you added this color grading tone map pass onto the CG element. If you want to do that throughout the whole scene, you can go to your comp, okay, under comp, and back to the transform compositing passes menu. You can add yet another transform pass, and it will show here below. This transform pass also can be compositing tone map pass, and when you click that, color grading settings will be enabled. Okay, but this will affect the whole comp instead of just a CG element. And that's it for today. And that brings us to the end of this video. Just for recap, today we learned how to import a PNG sequence into Unreal Engine and create a media texture with it, and also how to set up a basic Composure composition as well as compositing material. We also solved the problem of the media plate not displaying the alpha channel correctly by creating a special Chroma Key material, and we also learned a bit of color grading. I hope you learned something useful today, and I'll see you next time.